Okay, looks like we're on. Welcome to the next episode of the Talk to Me podcast. That's the name now, looks like it. And today we have Thom with us. And to give you a quick background, Thom and I met, I think, back in 2016 when I used to work at a call center. And yeah, that's kind of when we hit it off, and we had a lot of things in common, and spoke a lot. But I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, we're gonna have him here soon.
Jump straight into it, eh?
I'm just gonna jump straight into it. Yes, okay. We have.
I'm getting into it. I'm getting into it.
No, that you're always into it. Okay, so we have Thom here. Is there a lag?
No, I mean no more than Zoom normally has. Like a couple of half a second. You're good.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I've given a bit of an introduction.
I'm lagging on.
Yeah, there's just some lag, but that's okay. We can live with it. All right, how are you, man?
I'm good. I've had too much coffee today, so I'm like a little bit jittery.
You have decaf,
but I'm good.
You don't even. That's not even real coffee.
No, not right now. No, I'm drinking caffeinated coffee right now. I had to go downstairs and get some caffeinated coffee. It's all they had, so I'm just kind of the withdrawal symptoms have obviously been kicking in for far too long, and I'm just like shaky.
Jittery. And how many? When you say too much coffee, how many is that?
I don't know, 5 or
cups.
6.
Oh wow! In one day, that's a lot, man. That's a lot even for me. But
well, it's only it's not even 2:30, so it's like there will be more.
Okay.
But I also have water as well, so I'm balancing.
So it kind of balances it. Yeah, nice. In the episode intro, I was talking about how we kind of go way back. We met in 2016 when we used to work for this company that has the initials VM. May or may not be a mobile company, but
company that shall not be named. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was September 2016 we first met.
But didn't you join after that? I don't think you joined in September, did you?
No, yeah, it was September 2016. I was there September 2016 until February 2017. So I had a long stint. I was a tenured employee of that company.
And you were my go-to guy when it came to giving tough calls over to you, because you have an accent that could kind of get away with anything.
The escalated billing conversations.
Oh man, we've come a long way. Let's just say that we have come a long way.
Yeah, definitely.
And
it was kind of like it was
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it was kind of like, after, because I left that place before you, like a few months before you did. And then I think it was kind of one of those situations where kind of life gets the better of you. And it took quite a while for us to catch up afterwards. I think I left in February, you left maybe a couple of months after. May, yeah. And then it took 9 months for us to actually check in and catch up afterwards. Which was far too long, but yeah, we've known each other ever since. All from me taking your calls that you didn't want to do.
Exactly. Oh man. So this podcast has been in the making for quite some time. We wanted to kind of get together, maybe make a few vlogs together and maybe do a podcast, but finally we're doing it.
You're doing it. I was always the flaky one, because you were like, let's do this, let's make a video, let's do a series. And I'm like, yeah. And then I just kind of flaked on it. So you're like, it's all you're doing, kind of just pushing forward with things. Something I aspire to be.
No, it's honestly, I think we're both, I wouldn't call it flaky. I think flaky is a very strong word. I think we're both serial procrastinators. We want either the perfect outcome or nothing. And I just realized that there was nothing perfect anyway. So might as well get the MVP out, right?
Definitely. I mean, that's all kind of part of the journey with creativity. It's kind of like the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of your brain always attacking each other and not being able to just kind of like go through it and then just enjoy the process of getting there. You always like, you have a vision in your head, but it's not necessarily as achievable when you first start. So like for me personally, when I kind of have that realization, I'm just like, well, I can't, I don't want to do it then. Because I know how it's going to look, but your first few like iterations of whatever project it's going to be is never going to look like that. So it's, I think that's kind of like part of the anxiety of perfecting it. But I think it's the pursuit, which is the perfection, not the actual final product that you do.
You mentioned about the anxiety. That's something I wanted to kind of dive straight in. Um, if someone's looking at your life from the outside, going on your Instagram profile, and you got a studio and you got kind of everything that one aspires to have in life. But there are days, and you and I have spoken about it offline, there are days when anxiety takes over. um t- Talk to me a little bit about that. Like, what's that like? Are there other phases, or how do you, I guess, cope with it?
Yeah, there's waves. It's definitely waves. But the peaks, we'll call them, which is kind of like, the most creative that you're going to feel, always last a lot less than when you kind of come crashing back down to those anxious self-deprecation periods of time. I think for me personally, and like, yeah, as you mentioned, I'm very lucky. I have my own home studio, and I have all the equipment I need to create pretty much any medium that I want. And on the surface, I know through my work, generally, it kind of seems like I'm predominantly creative. Like I always have something on the go, but it's not really. That's not really the case for me. I mean, to kind of like delve a little bit deeper into that, like I do suffer from mental health. I have done for most of my adult life, whether it's anxiety, bouts of depression in my early 20s. I'm also on the spectrum. I have ASD. So that's essentially anything creative that I'm doing. I'm generally fighting against that. For the past couple of years, I've definitely developed my craft, but I've also found it a lot more difficult to kind of follow through. I've had a myriad of ideas, and like as you were saying before, we'd had plans to do like podcast and videos and like create a series, even a YouTube channel together. But it's my anxiety that generally kind of stops me right at the gate before I actually start progressing into anything. So what people don't see behind the scenes is it takes a very long time for me to actually get started with anything, even the simplest thing of posting a picture on Instagram, which, in the 90s or even in the early 2000s, before social media was even a thing, that was not a factor anyone would think of. Even with like film cameras, they would take pictures purely to print and enjoy themselves. Social media anxiety was never a thing. And like I will freely admit, like I am one of those people that got completely sucked up into it. And I'm just obsessed with the algorithm, obsessed with like likes and followers and like who's going to see this, like how are they going to perceive this photo. And it's just like, who cares really?
Yeah.
Did you take the picture? Did you enjoy the picture? Cool, post it. That's literally all that matters.
And I think those are vanity metrics anyway. Like you said,
Yeah,
did
exactly.
you enjoy the moment and you captured it, right? And then you posted it. But I think to some extent, all of us do have some sort of anxiety about something or the other. But what exactly are you more anxious about? Is it like when it comes to work, or is it just a general sort of underlying anxiety?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like split into two different buckets of anxiety, I'll say. Like, in part, it's just general anxiety, which just kind of comes with the mental health territory, which is, I mean, that is in a way easier to battle when you're doing something creative, because for me, I picked up photography to improve my mental health. It was actually Laura, my wife's idea to essentially just pick up my first camera. And this was,
really?
I think that was back in 2006. That was after we met, actually. After we first met is when I picked up my first camera.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought you'd been doing it before.
Yeah. No. I mean, like, you take a couple of shots with I took a couple of shots with my phone,
right.
ranked up that HDR and called myself a photographer, but that's that's not nearly to scale of like what I do or what I did after picking up like a DSLR. But it was to improve my mental health. It was a creative outlet, but especially nowadays with social media being the main outlet for creatives, with that comes a lot of self-deprecation, imposter syndrome, self-doubt, all of those kind of things. And that's the bit that really kind of lingers. That's something that sticks with you before, during, and after you do anything creative. But what I've basically found for me is not finding out what I want to create, but trying to figure out why I want to create it.
Okay.
Because if you can figure out the why, then nothing else really matters. And for me, I've always been a huge advocate for mental health, especially being open about mental health. And I've always been, some call me an oversharer, but I mean, that's technically coming from people that are maybe a little bit more closed off than they need to be. I think society is generally closed off. So being an oversharer, I think, is actually healthy. So this is where mine comes from. And the majority of what I shoot, whether it's video or photo, comes from the underlying story of either improving my mental health or helping others improve theirs.
And oversharing, I think, I don't think that's really a problem. I mean, in a way, it's good that you're not, I guess, bottling your emotions up. As you said, a lot of people do. And then you kind of burst in the end, which is, I think, pointless. So in a way, it's good and that you are, you've got a platform to express that. So that's fantastic. But like, aside from the platform, who do you talk to the most about this stuff other than Laura?
I talk to you a lot about it. I don't think that that's ever been kind of like a roadblock for the two of us. I think our mentalities have always been quite closely aligned in that respect. And I think that, like, as long as I've known you, you've never really been kind of closed off about emotions or mental health or anything like that, which I think is fantastic. So it's generally we've had passing conversations here and there and kind of like checked in with one another, which I think is always really important, no matter who it's with. Whether you're the closest of friends or whether you're just just someone on the internet. And speaking of which, I have friends who I have only met through the internet, through Instagram and Twitter, and I speak to them quite regularly as well about the same thing. Because I don't necessarily believe that you need to, you don't need to be close friends or family to speak about mental health. I think it's something, it's a common ground everyone has. And I'm very lucky to kind of be part of a smaller network of the creative community who are very open to talking about that. So yeah, generally those are the people that I speak to, or my parents.
Okay. So at least you have some sort of support system, people that are not judging you for who you are or for what you're going through, because there's a lot of judgment out there, man.
Oh, there is, definitely.
Interesting. See, I told you, I'll jump straight into it.
You just went straight into the hard stuff, didn't you? You didn't even waste any time.
Oh, man.
Let's rip that Band-Aid off.
I know you have a hard stop at 3:30, so I just wanted to be mindful of that. Okay, so how has lockdown been? Has it impacted you in any way? Because you've been working remotely through, like, ever since you quit that place, the call center. You have been working remotely. So
you've already said the name now. You may as well not hide it anymore.
The VM place.
Yeah, you said it. You ruined it.
Okay. So like
How was
what's
lockdown been for me?
yeah.
Same as every other day. It hasn't really changed for me at all. I mean, no, that's a complete lie. For the most part, for my 9 to 5, it hasn't really changed that much. I actually would kind of hazard to say that it's been better for me, because I am generally an introvert. So it's not difficult for me to lock down and just get my head down and just work on what I'm doing in an isolated space. Funny story, I left my old role and started a new role the day lockdown started. So I was remote working in a support role, took a new job. I think it was March 12th. I started my new role, and I was no longer going to be remote. I was going to be working in the studio. I was really, really excited to be getting out of like remote work and working around humans and having those social interactions that people always talk about. Day one in the office, came home, amazing. Heard about the pandemic, and we were planning on being safe and doing everything that we needed to do. 11 p.m. on that evening, the big boss emailed everyone and said, okay, no one is to come into the office from now on. So you're all remote working by default. I said, cool. So I had one day in the office and then back to remote working.
But would you want to go back to,
been,
would you want to work out of an office?
I mean, for the work that we do, we kind of need to. We need a studio. So being in a photography platform, we do need accommodations like that. In our last studio, we had the big curve wall, we had ceiling grids for lighting, we had all of the good stuff that essentially facilitated us to do our job quickly and effectively. It's been a challenge. Myself and 2 other photographers on my team have essentially had to work from our spaces, and not everyone has the same capabilities to actually do kind of bigger scale photography. So it has definitely been different, but it's been interesting. I've actually kind of enjoyed it for the most part, purely for the fact that I've been able to learn I'm much more capable than I thought I was, which is good. And it's actually, and I obviously can't speak for everyone, like in Canada or the world, but for me personally, it's actually led me to be more in touch with my family and friends. And I've never been great at keeping in touch with people, which has always been a flaw of mine, but I've actually done better because, well, we have no choice but to like sync digitally, video calls, text messages, what have you. So it's actually been better, but yeah, I mean, it presents its challenges, the same as it would for anyone, and kind of like not going out and not being able to just go for walks and like downtown or where there may be other people can be a bit of a knock on the mental health. But yeah, I think it's been pretty good. But I also know that comes from a place of privilege. I have more than some others have. So I haven't been as affected as most. My job, luckily, hasn't been affected by that. So, and I know even Laura, her employment has kind of fluctuated quite a lot over the past year. So it's different for everyone, which I understand. So I'm very thankful and very kind of privileged to be in the position that I have been this year.
I think that's the fact that you have a perspective and that kind of gratitude for the fact that you have a lot more than a lot of people do. It's a great place to be in,
Yeah, definitely.
And would you say you're happy?
Yes. I don't know why I hesitated. Yes. I don't think that's, I think happiness is, I think happiness is an elusive emotion. I don't think
Okay.
that you can be happy 100% of the time. I think that like any mental state, it fluctuates. Sometimes you may not feel content,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that overall, like, I mean, I know I am happy. I feel very lucky.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I'm definitely happy. What about you? Are you happy?
I'm very happy. I think I have way more than millions of other people do. I have an amazing life partner. I live in a country as amazing as Canada. Um, can't complain at all, man. I have a good family back home and cannot complain at all. I'm extremely happy.
I think that's the important thing, isn't it? Like, it's
Yeah.
so society, and I generalize too much, I know, but some people can sometimes find it too easy to complain
Mhm.
if things aren't going their way. Me being one of them as well, and I do this on a regular basis, and sometimes I'm good enough to stop and like check myself and realize that I'm complaining for absolutely no reason. But sometimes it can be really easy to just kind of like see the negative in everything. And think like, oh, this is terrible, or like, oh, we're in lockdown and we can't go and live our lives, and which I get. Don't get me wrong. I would love to just go out to a restaurant and just have lunch, or just go to a bar and have a couple of drinks with my friends,
Mm.
and just, not have all of this crap going on in the world. But like, that's just not the way that it's going right now. So we just have to accept it and live life the best that we can with those restrictions. And I'm fine with that because I know in doing that, we can help so many people. And
Mhm.
I think that's what's making me happy, is that I know my, I don't want to say limitations.
Mhm.
I know my bandwidth
Okay.
is probably the best way to put it.
Okay. Interesting. Um, when was the last time you cried?
Last week,
So you cry frequently.
no, 2 weeks ago. I don't cry frequently.
Mm.
Um, I never used to cry. I was a very uh, emotionless person up until my recent years.
On the surface,
It was
or
Laura that did it. Yeah, no, I actively bottled my emotions
mm.
when Laura and I first got together. So in 12 days, we would have been together for 15 years, and I'd probably say maybe the first 5, 6 years, I did not show any kind of explicit emotion towards anything. So I was
Mm.
very closed off. But I did have emotions.
Of course.
I just chose not to express them.
Mm.
Laura, damn it, she made me human. But yeah, so like I'm not one to kind of try and repress them anymore.
Okay.
So yeah, like, sometimes if you feel you need to cry, it's healthy to cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a couple of weeks ago, I felt the need to cry, so I cried, and I felt really good afterwards. Well,
Let it all out. Yeah.
before crying, yeah, I still had those emotions, but it's kind of like a weight. It's like, the way that
Mm.
I see it is, it's like a balloon expanding in your chest, and it just
Mhm.
continues expanding unless
Mm.
you let those emotions out,
Mm.
and it just kind of deflates, and it makes you feel more grounded.
Mhm. Absolutely. And uh, you mentioned Laura, and I have to ask you, how did you two meet? And I guess when did you know that she was the one that you're going to marry her?
So Laura met me before I met her.
Hmm.
And I'll explain that. Laura loves this story because it paints me like an absolute idiot. But
Content.
and
That's perfect.
yeah, and don't get me wrong, I totally agree with her, because when we did first meet,
Hmm.
I was incredibly immature, incredibly irresponsible. I was an idiot. So
Weren't we
I
all
went
though?
to, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably like, I'm 35 now. I think I started becoming responsible and a bit more resembling an adult at like 32, maybe. So I'm getting there now.
Hmm.
Um, Still got another 10 years to go before someone actually calls me a fully fledged adult.
I think
But anyway,
I think you're a fully
so
fledged adult.
thanks, man. I love you. So
All right.
I went to college with a mutual friend, and we were in McDonald's. We had spent the afternoon at a local pub. I don't remember this. Let's basically just say it like that.
He does.
And I don't like telling the story. But either way, so like I don't really remember it because I was very drunk. And we were in a local McDonald's, and our mutual friend Carl was with me. In walks Laura and her parents, just picking up some takeaway for dinner. And she sees Carl and starts saying hi to Carl. And there's me sat in the corner, swaying like the drunkard that I was at the time. And I was very unhappy with the meal that I was eating. So I was shouting that my cheeseburger was dry.
Oh God.
I was just, as you see some kind of like random people in the street, even like in Toronto,
Yeah.
just kind of shouting at inanimate objects. That was me. Just I was shouting at an inanimate object in the corner of a McDonald's on a midweek, weekday evening, and that was the first sight for Laura. And if anyone
she's
asks,
still with you. Okay.
She is still with me. We didn't get together at that point, but if anyone asks Laura, do you believe in love at first sight? I really hope she says no.
I think she'll say no.
If that's the case, her judgment is terrible. But so afterwards, we met properly. Another evening, I think it must have been like a couple of weeks after, and we all met to have like a drink. As a group, and we kind of first met there, and we really hit it off as good friends. And it was very shortly after we got together. It was December 2006, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
December 2006. So it's 14 years we've been together, not 15 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we got together from there, and it was very soon that I knew she was the one, and I think we both kind of like figured that out pretty much at the same time. The kind of the bad light that shines on me kind of extends a little bit longer, because I wasn't exactly the best human being when I was younger. Again, with the irresponsibility, so I was technically homeless. When we first met, I didn't have the best relationship with my dad, and I was sleeping on my best friend's couch at the time. Laura and I moved in together 6 weeks after we got together. We were both very young, and no one thought it was a good idea. We thought it was a fantastic idea. Like, we can get our own house and it'll be amazing. It wasn't amazing. Like the first house that we got was falling apart. But yeah, we got together and no one thought it would last. And 14 years later, we're still together and stronger than ever.
And strong, yeah. Also because, you guys, you had a long courtship before you got married, right? Like, or a sizable courtship before you got married?
9 years. Yeah, 9 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And would you say that was your fondest memory of living in the UK? Like meeting Laura?
Yeah, definitely. I think my fondest memory of like being in the UK and being with Laura was the year before we moved to Canada. Laura and I have never really believed in half measures. We always kind of like just throw ourselves into something. So we decided almost on a whim that we were going to move to Canada without ever visiting the country. But in the 9 months before, like between getting our visa and moving to Canada, we got married, got a newborn puppy, and started a company.
That was 9 months before moving here?
All within 9 months, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So Walter was essentially 9 months when he came here.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Just over 9 months. So he was he would have been closer to a year because he was 10 weeks when we got him.
Hmm. And how was the move? Like, was it mentally
That was
hard
a
or?
friggin' nightmare.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
Hmm.
It was. I mean, kind of. I think any immigration is difficult, and it's definitely a mental strain because you have so many things that you have to think about, which just is they're not a factor when you move, like from town to town, or even if you're in the US from state to state. It's kind of it's not seamless. Obviously, I don't think any move is easy, but you have to think about, what am I packing, where am I moving to. Well, that's about it, really.
Hmm.
But as you and Shreya will know, like
Yeah.
there's countless factors that just cause stress,
Hmm.
and I think you innately make it a bit more difficult for yourself when you're actually emigrating to another country, because
Mm-hmm.
this is something that you've never done before. This is a new country that you may have visited, but you probably have never lived before. So there's
Hmm.
all of these kind of different factors that you have to think about,
Hmm.
or just wonder about. And I'd lived in the UK most of my life. Laura was born and raised in the north of England.
Hmm.
And then after a chance encounter with someone in Canada, like a year before, I just said, I don't want to live in the UK anymore. Let's go to Canada. But we had 3 pets at the time,
Mm-hmm.
a company that was successful in the UK that
Hmm.
we still had to work on. Both of us worked full time. We worked nights,
Hmm.
and we had a whole life's worth of possessions that we had to condense into 4 suitcases.
Mm-hmm.
Couple that with the fact that we made a very sketchy move of connecting with someone on Airbnb and negotiating a long-term lease
Oh.
3 months before we moved. Yeah, so we moved in June, and in April, I
Hmm.
forked over $2,000 to this guy I'd never met in person before to secure a lease for an apartment for when we moved. So
So wait,
I had
you
no
transferred that
idea.
money before you moved?
Yeah, 3 months before we moved.
Oh, wow. How did that play
Don't get
out?
me wrong.
Hmm.
And I know it was a terrible move, but I kind of felt like it was a worthwhile risk. So, like, let's see how it goes.
Hmm.
But so we moved here June 2016.
Hmm.
And from between March and April 2016, we started looking for an Airbnb. And we thought, well, we'll secure an Airbnb for 4 to 6 weeks. That will give us enough time to look for a long-term lease, so we can actually find, like a home
Right.
that we
Yeah.
will live for in the long term.
Hmm.
And we came across this apartment, which was on the harbor front, like literally smack dab in the center of downtown, overlooking the lake. The apartment was tiny, but the location was absolutely stunning.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, as we did, as you normally do, I reached out
Hmm.
to the owner of this place,
Hmm.
introduced Laura and myself, and he was like, well, I'm actually thinking of taking it off Airbnb and doing like long-term lease, if this is something that you're interested in.
Oh,
And
nice.
we negotiated the price.
Yeah.
But Airbnb doesn't like you doing this offline. So we
Hmm.
had to kind of do it via email, but he had to send me the email in pieces, and like it was all sketchy right from the get-go. And he said to us, this was in mid-April,
Hmm.
he said, in order to secure the lease and the contract, let's do a $2,000 month down,
Hmm.
and I'll send you the contract. Contract was handwritten.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't printed. It wasn't notarized or whatever.
It's shady.
So I
Hmm.
paid him.
Wow.
Yeah, I paid him $2,000, and we all through that time, even
Hmm.
the 8 hours flight between the UK and here, going through immigration, I had the address. Getting the cab from the airport to the address and getting to
Hmm.
the security desk, I had no clue whether there were keys waiting for me.
My God.
Luckily, there were. Luckily, the guy,
Hmm.
the owner of the apartment, was
Yeah.
amazing, super
Yeah.
accommodating,
Hmm.
and we lived there for 2 years.
I was gonna ask you. You ended up
So it
staying
all
there
worked
for
out.
quite some time. Yeah, and I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, two
as
years.
shady as a paper contract as it did work out for you. But
Yeah,
but
it could have been a lot worse.
hmm.
It could have been one of those stories that you hear about people
Yeah.
being like duped when they're immigrating to
Hmm.
another country, and then we just kind of stood by the side of the road with 3 pets and four suitcases,
Yeah.
thinking, "What are we going to do?" But yeah, luckily,
Hmm.
it all panned out, and that was 4.5 years ago now.
And and you're obviously extremely happy you made the move, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Hmm.
Both of us are like
Hmm.
the quality of life that we have now, and even down to the type of people that we have grown into in the short space of time that we've been here is more than we could have imagined. And we may be 3,000 miles away from our relatives, but
Hmm.
we've been lucky enough to find family over here as well. So like
Hmm.
we couldn't be happier.
That's awesome, dude. I love that. Okay, well, the one thing that I'm extremely curious about with everyone, and I think this is going to be a repeat question with literally everyone that comes on this podcast. Uh,
Okay.
what's your relationship with money? Do you do you fear the lack of it? Do you ever have thoughts about what if I can't make uh, what if I don't deserve this amount of money, or you know what I mean? So what's
Yeah,
your take on
sorry,
that?
I couldn't stop smiling as you were asking me that question because I don't. It's funny.
Hmm.
I don't really know how to answer that question. I have absolutely no fear when it comes to finances.
Okay. Hmm.
And don't get me wrong, like it sounds super complacent, and
Hmm.
I'm not rich by any means. I'm not flush with cash. Um, and it's probably because sometimes I can be really irresponsible with money.
Like with spending, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I am terrible with money.
Hmm.
I mean, you probably know this better than anyone aside from Laura, but I've never worried about it, and I think I think the best example of this was the whole period between before we came to Canada to during coming to Canada.
Hmm.
I don't see sense, and again, makes me sound like a complete idiot and like super complacent. That's not what I'm trying to like kind of come across.
Hmm.
I am super aware of finances. I'm super aware of money.
Hmm.
Um, and the importance of it, obviously. But I have always known that there are ways to get what we need, not necessarily what we want, but to get what we need.
Hmm.
And the best example that I could probably use is when we planned on coming to Canada, we essentially kind of tallied up how much we would need.
Hmm.
And I think it came, around like, as an example, let's say like £10,000.
Hmm.
Laura and I didn't earn a lot.
Hmm.
And um, we've never really, up until now, up until since being in Canada, we've never really been ones to save.
Okay.
When I was younger, I was always told have a retirement plan, even when you're in your early 20s.
Hmm.
One of my cousins, when he was 21, he started a retirement fund, and he
Okay.
has like 3 now.
Hmm.
I've never done that,
Hmm.
but yeah, when we have a goal, and I'm only speaking for Laura and myself, if we have something that we need to do, doesn't matter what timeline it is,
Hmm.
we have without fail every single time made sure that we hit that goal.
Okay.
Another example would be when, so the fight that we've had to gain permanent residency.
Hmm.
One of the things that we had to do at the
Yeah.
drop of a hat was put Laura through college.
Hmm.
As an international student, it cost in excess of $20,000.
Hmm.
We saved that in 5 months.
Hmm.
So, I
Which
mean,
is significant
granted,
because $20,000 for 5 months, like that's not an easy ask, to save that kind of money in
No,
that time.
not
Yeah.
at all. I mean, a lot of that was down to Laura's perseverance and working an inexplicable amount of hours, like per week. But and don't get me wrong, we don't always plan to kind of punish ourselves to reach these goals. But we've always been able to. We don't live beyond our means too often.
Yeah.
Which I think is a very important thing. And we've always, if we have something that we want to do or purchase, like whether it's a car or a house or something like that, we've always been able to do it. And I think this is probably something that makes Laura more stressed because I rarely get stressed.
Okay. Have you always been like this?
No, it's fluctuated. Laura and I are kind of like the yin and yang of each other. So like generally, if I'm not stressed, Laura is. If I am stressed, Laura isn't. So we share responsibilities. So sometimes it's like one or the other, but it's never both.
That I was going to say that it's also a good thing because when she's stressed, you can comfort her, and I'm guessing you guys stress about different things as well. Like it's not like, yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. We have at the core, we have a lot of similarities, but in certain areas of our personalities, we are incredibly different. And especially when it comes to relationships, people sometimes see that as being like a kind of a negative. Like you should be, kind of like compatible, or like you should be at least the same if you're going to work together. But I don't necessarily see that. I don't necessarily see that works. Laura and I have always balanced each other out. We have always kind of like complemented each other's personalities and capabilities. And I think that's kind of, that's been our strength. That's why even having such a kind of, dysfunctional formula for a relationship at the very kind of start of our lives together, that's why we lasted 14 years.
You answered my next question. My next question was, what is the one thing you love about your marriage?
Okay. Well, I can give you a different answer for that. The one thing that I love most about my marriage, and that's actually something that I've always kind of thought about and appreciated, is how much I have evolved because of Laura. Laura is an incredibly self-aware human being, which I think is an incredible talent for anyone to have.
Absolutely.
And not something that everyone is lucky enough to be able to harness. And because I was a very difficult person, not difficult towards other people. I mean, probably, so to speak. I used to be a difficult person to get along with, but I also found life difficult. And Laura made it easier for me to kind of like, travel through life more seamlessly and kind of be happier and be more open and all of that good stuff. So that's probably what I would say I love most about it.
That's awesome, dude. If she's watching, I'm sure she's going to be happy with this answer.
She's down here. She's feeding me the lions. No, I'm kidding.
Well played. Do you remember the last dream you had?
No.
Do you remember dreams?
Sorry, that was really quick.
Yeah, good chat, man.
All right, cool. See that one. No, I don't.
You don't remember dreams?
So this is something that I'm pretty sure I have dreams. It'd be really weird if I didn't.
No, but like, do you remember dreams in general?
Rarely. Very, very rarely. Yeah. I mean, I'm really sorry, mate, but that's going to be a bit of a short conversation.
No, that's totally okay. Give it a think. I'm gonna go pee. Give me a minute, so you can think about this.
All right, fine. I'll just sit here and think about it.
Yeah, just sit here.
Well, I've got one for you. You go pee, and I've got one for you.
Okay, cool. All right. Sorry about that. I'm back.
All right, that's
Okay.
okay. Okay, so dreams. So, like
Hmm.
I said, I don't really remember my dreams. There's a couple of reasons why that could be,
Hmm.
um, but I won't get into them purely because it
Controversial.
relates to substances. Yeah. But that said, and this is going to get a little bit dark, but it's also
Okay.
kind of got a very interesting. No. It's not
No, I
like
like it.
it's not too dark, but okay,
Hmm.
cool. It has an interesting twist. So when I was a kid,
Hmm.
probably from the age of I would say around 13 to 19, I used to have this recurring nightmare,
Hmm.
and it happens probably I would say two or three two or three consecutive nights every month. But it would leave me kind of like almost paralyzed when I would
Oh
wake up from
wow.
it. And for
Hmm.
those 2 or 3 nights, I wouldn't get more than a couple of hours sleep because every single time I would have this nightmare. So this nightmare would essentially start me in kind of like I would find myself in this very indescript area. I used to
Hmm.
think that it was some kind of like warehouse or it was like a train station or something like that,
Hmm.
and I was being chased. I was the only person there in this like place,
Hmm.
and I was being chased by this tall, gangly, hooded man. Or I believe that it was a man at the time,
Hmm.
but inside the hood,
Hmm.
there was no face. It was well lit,
Wow. Okay.
albeit shadowed, but I couldn't see the face. It was just kind of like black and shadowed underneath the hood.
Hmm.
And when I noticed this person, he would start running towards me.
Hmm.
So naturally, I would run away because
Hmm.
the impending doom of this hooded man.
Yeah.
Um, and I would just continue running. And there would be these kind of like long steps,
Hmm.
the kind of steps that you find in a train station, which are
Yeah.
kind of sweeping steps. They're very, very like stretched out. And I'd be running down those steps, and suddenly I would see this like archway going into like another area. So I'd
Hmm.
run through there.
Hmm.
As soon as I run through the archway, that
Hmm.
hooded man who was 20, 30 feet away from me, chasing me, was directly in front of me.
Okay.
Uh, that was the dream. That was it.
So it just ended at
So
that point when he
uh,
was in front of you.
it ended at that point,
Hmm.
but him stood literally like kind of like a couple of inches away from me, and
Wow.
I couldn't see into the hood, but it
Hmm.
was almost as if I could kind of feel what was in there. Very
Hmm.
kind of like I don't know, very existential. Very if people believe in the kind of the spiritual, the negative energy, the kind of
Hmm.
you can get from dreams, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
That's how I felt. That's how, and even at the age of 13, when I first started, the first time I ever had that dream, I
Hmm.
was on vacation. I was sleeping in the hotel,
Hmm.
and I woke up, and I didn't sleep for the rest of the week,
Oh wow.
like while we were there. So that was a very, very strange time. But
Hmm.
so
So did it just stop all of a
so
sudden
that
when you
was
were
the dream that
19?
I had.
When you
It
were
stopped when I
19?
met Laura.
Huh.
It happened actually. So it was very intense and very regular up until I was 19. I met Laura when I was just hit 21,
Hmm.
and I've had it a couple of times since, once or twice,
Hmm.
but it stopped being as regular when me and Laura got together. Make of that what you will. But here's the twist. So
Hmm.
my family, I come from a family of gypsies.
Okay.
So my family is Romani,
Hmm.
and I did some research on this, and I could be way off base,
Okay. I want to know
but I
this
did
now.
some
Hmm.
research on this.
Okay.
So my heritage is Romanian, okay,
Hmm.
and even down to my granddad on my mum's side was brought up Romani gypsy,
Hmm.
and so they have, every culture has a boogeyman, right? or kind of like this evil creature that's going to come and get children if they're
Yes.
not kind
Mhm.
of behaving kind of thing. So
Yeah.
in Romani culture, it's called bao bao,
Bow bow.
and it is bao bao, yeah,
Okay.
and it is a man who
Hmm.
essentially comes and steals children who don't not that not children who misbehave,
Hmm.
but children who have an innate negative energy.
Oh.
So that's kind of like a bit different. But so children who have an innate negative energy are stolen, taken away, never to be seen again by this
Hmm.
man known as Bao Bao. This man,
Hmm.
and I looked this up on a few different places, is
Hmm.
described as a tall, slender figure with a dark cloak,
Oh my God.
hooded,
I have goosebumps.
and you're unable to distinguish his facial features if seen, if seen in real life. That is the
That's
description of Bao Bao. And
wow.
so I'm 35 now.
Hmm.
I had this dream consistently for 6 or 7 years from the age of 13.
Hmm.
And then, sporadically here and there, once or twice over the past like 15 years since.
Hmm.
It was only this year,
Wow.
and I can't remember why, but
Hmm.
I just had, I don't know, it just popped into my head. I
Hmm.
think I was telling a friend about this,
Hmm.
and I thought I've never really thought about this, so I researched it, and then I kind of read. It was like this, this like wiki page, it was like Romani culture,
Hmm.
like wiki page, and
Hmm.
saw the description for Bao Bao, and like honestly, I
That is
just
uncanny.
I don't know if I looked it, but I went completely white. And
Yeah.
I'm not a huge disbeliever.
Hmm.
I'm very open.
Hmm.
I will not disbelieve anything
Hmm.
unless there is empirical evidence to kind of quash these superstitions or like
Hmm.
culture or folklore or stuff like that. So I'm pretty
Hmm.
open, and I know that anything is possible. But that really freaked me out.
That's
And again,
fascinating. Yeah.
like I said, the research that
Hmm.
I did,
Hmm.
certain parts of it, like, I'm not going to profess to say that I'm an expert in this, so I could have
Hmm.
got like certain bits really wrong. But just kind of like the whole transition from having that dream when I was really young and then like being 35 and then doing the research and learning about that, it was really weird. Really weird.
And that was the exact figure that you described in your dream as well. So that's the creepy bit, right? Like
Yeah.
there's a clear
Yeah.
explanation
It
of
was,
that.
it was,
And Laura
yeah.
healed you in a way. As soon as she entered your life, those dreams stopped. So
Yeah, definitely. And
that's
I don't
fascinating.
I try my best not to
Hmm.
be, kind of not to be too spiritual.
Hmm.
Um, not because I don't believe it, but because
Hmm.
I don't understand enough of it.
Yeah, I
So
understand.
if that makes sense.
It
So,
does.
but yeah, I kind of feel like, I mean, in many ways, in kind of like many simple, emotional, mental capacities, like Laura did.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was just very, very strange to, I told my mom about this as well, and she never responded, which I found very funny because I was just thinking,
Hmm.
like, is she actually just like really scared of this Bao Bao figure, or
Hmm.
is she just ghosting me? As
That's
my mom basically just blanked me on on social media. But yeah, she never responded to it.
but that's dude, we can like go into a full conversation about that one dream alone, literally. Because there's so much connected to childhood baggage. Essentially 13 to 19 is childhood,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I don't think we have
definitely.
that.
Oh, we should
Hmm.
do like another episode purely on spirituality because I've
Hmm.
got like I could go on for days about that.
Very fascinating. I love this. We have these figures in our culture as well, but that bit about uh, if you have negative energy, that's when you see the Baba man, and that's really freaky. um
Yeah, it is,
okay,
isn't it?
I understand you have a few more minutes. Can we still go on?
Yeah, yeah, we've got a few more minutes.
Okay, sweet. All right, this is great, man. I love this. I hope you're enjoying.
I am really enjoying. I'm going to be
Hmm.
honest with you. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, we've known each other long enough that we can just have random conversations, and we regularly do. But I think it's the idea of recording it. I was kind of nervous. Like before I actually like jumped into this, I was stood in the studio, just like pacing back and forth, just trying to kind of like center myself and be like, it's just a conversation. It's just a conversation with Sai. Let's just get into it. And then I just stopped and I was like, the hell are you doing? Like, just pack it in. It's fine. But I think that kind of like goes back to what we said at the very beginning of kind of like it can be it's all manner of creativity can cause anxiety, and it doesn't have to come from anywhere in particular, but it just happens sometimes, doesn't it?
It does. Even every time I'm shooting, whether I'm shooting a vlog or vlog's fine because I can edit. Even if I'm talking to someone, it always does. The anxiety does sink in. What if you say something that kind of makes you look like an idiot? But I think you just soldier on anyway, right? But I hope
Yeah.
I hope you kind of got to settle down your nerves a bit, because my idea was to kind of keep it casual, and even if we dive into hard subjects, still like just talk. That's the whole
Yeah.
that's the whole point, really. And we
I
meet
think
frequently,
that,
like you said, yeah, but we never
yeah.
talk about these things that freely. There's other stuff to discuss. So
Never put the world to rights, as they say.
yeah, exactly.
I think it's the part during, which is the easiest part. For me, it's
Yeah,
before and after. Like
yeah.
I've really enjoyed this, but
Hmm.
afterwards, until you actually post it and I get to hear what I've said, I'm going to be freaking out that I sound like a friggin' idiot. So, but that's just kind of like the natural process for me.
It's completely understandable, but I can assure you that you are not sounding like an idiot. I haven't even gotten down to
Thank you
the
very
edit
much.
yet, but I can tell you that. No, you're doing great, man.
Yeah.
If you had like a couple million, I think I should describe a couple million. Let's just say you had like 15, 20 million lying around. Um, you obviously wouldn't have to worry about bills. What would you be doing with your life at that point?
I would start a company.
Hmm.
I never want to not be working. I think I already find it very easy to get sidetracked or procrastinate or sometimes just be bored despite the fact that I have a lot to do. And that, for me, and the way that my brain works, that is where my dip in mental health comes from. And as I was saying before, especially in more recent years, I have been lucky enough to become much more self-aware than I ever have been, and appreciate my brain and my mental health and use it as opposed to have it abuse me. So I would do, all the generic things. I would buy myself a modest house to ensure that Laura and I have a place to grow our family. I would finally, at 35, I would get my driver's license and buy a car.
That's a good start.
Never been a priority.
Yeah,
it's just never been a priority. So I would do that, and I would start. I don't know, like, what would you call it? A platform, an organization, a means of building a community that would focus on that intersection between mental health and creativity. My overall, so I have two intersecting goals in life. One of which is to own and operate a branding agency which is not for profit and is purely geared towards amplifying entrepreneurs in marginalized communities, whichever community that is, whichever type of entrepreneur they are, doesn't matter like what it is. I would love to have this as a means. And working in branding and marketing myself, I know from years of experience how difficult it is for people. You can have the idea, you can start a business, but to grow that business is 90% of the challenge. So to give that to someone, to basically work with them, build it, and teach them how to use it would be amazing to me. The other side of things that I would love to do. So, and speaking again about anxiety and procrastination, I have the domain, the Instagram, the Twitter account, the YouTube channel, and all of those things for this platform, which I still can't bring myself to build, called Create Good Mental Health. And it is, like I said before, the intersection between mental health and creativity, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of the brain. And I've spent so many years battling with my own mind to get content out because of how I worry, how it's going to be perceived, that I realized a couple of years ago, if I feel like this and I am, for the most part, okay, I can't imagine how all like other aspiring creatives could possibly feel with whatever, kind of emotions going through their head, whatever mental health troubles that they have to deal with, like whatever disabilities that they have to deal with, the challenges that they face. If I feel like this and I am lucky enough to have what I have, what about all of the other people that aren't as lucky as me? And this is the only thing that they want to do. So I wanted to create this community, and it's a collective effort of sharing stories, creative stories based around mental health, making mental health the story. That was a very long-winded answer. I'm sorry about that. But like,
no,
that's
not at all.
basically,
Not at all. This is such mission-driven.
Those are the two things that I want to do.
Dude, this is amazing. I honestly, I knew about your about the second sort of goal that you have, the mental health for creatives, but I wasn't familiar with the first one. I think that's extremely that's an extremely wonderful mission, because most of the times people can't even afford branding, right? Especially when you're getting into a business, you don't have seed funding.
Exactly. Branding and marketing is so challenging, but it's also so expensive, which is part of the reason why I feel like I found myself in a career that I will never take for granted. And it's because we're on the cusp of doing something like that. We don't charge. Everything that we offer is free. But it's just, I want to go a step further, and I want to do everything. I don't want to just provide these tools. I don't want to provide these photos. I want to essentially create workshops, actually amplify these businesses, share and market these businesses, and then teach them how they can do it. So they can have as much knowledge as we would in this, kind of imaginative agency. So they can basically go out and like grow their business, and become, build their empire, know everything they need to know, teach the next person, kind of do it that way, and not focus on, businesses who essentially have all of the funding they need. They've got all of the seed money. They've got all of the investments. They've basically got it all figured out. Amazing. More power to them. It's fantastic. And like, it's great that they're growing as well. But there are some businesses out there who just simply struggle. And in the first 90 days of any business, only 10% makes it.
Yeah. No, dude, I would love to be a part of this program or this mission whenever you choose to start it, because it's like, that way businesses can focus on on their product, on what they really know the best, and sort of outsource. You're not even outsourcing. You're not going to charge them for it. But I love this, man. Thanks for sharing this with me.
No worries. And yes, 100%. I would love you to be a part of it as well. I almost just skirted over that and didn't mention anything, but yeah, 100%.
No, that's great. I love this. Just a couple of things before we close. What are your regrets?
I don't believe in regrets.
Not at all.
No, because if I am a huge believer in causality, and I am adamant that if there were anything that I were to change or like do over or anything like that, I may not be the person that I am today. And I am very happy with the person that I am today. I'm very happy with where I am, who I'm with. And I don't want to change that. I think, bad things can happen. You can do or say things that could potentially cause that feeling of regret. And don't get me wrong, I'm not impervious to it. But I like to remind myself that every aspect, every second that has come before this one is the reason why you are alive and and conscious and able in this moment. So yeah, I don't believe in regrets.
Your optimism is really rubbing off on me.
It's
Thank you.
fleeting. Don't get me wrong. It is a fleeting optimism, but when I have it, I try and hold on to it for as long as possible.
I love it. All right. We are almost towards the end. I want to be mindful of your time as well. I know you have a meeting to go to. Do you have...
Yeah, don't worry about it.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right. Sweet. What's a perfect Tuesday for you? Like right from the time you wake up to the time you call it a day.
Perfect Tuesday. Why Tuesday?
Choose any day, man. Tuesday's placeholder.
Okay, I'm picking Monday because
I was going to say Monday, yeah, because Mondays are usually horrid. So what's your perfect Monday?
No, they're not. Mondays are my favorite day of the week. I love Mondays. Yeah, Monday is fresh start.
Nice.
I love it. You got all of the excitement, what's going to happen for the rest of the week, and then you get to Tuesday and Wednesday and you're super slumped over and depressed and crying. No, I'm kidding.
No, you're not.
No, not at all.
Okay,
so
Monday.
Perfect Monday for me. So I'm an early bird. I don't always get up very early, but my favorite time of day is between 4 and 5 a.m. And this comes from when I used to live in downtown Toronto, and we were very close to the financial district. And 4 and 5 a.m., the financial district is essentially a ghost town, which I'm sure you'll already know.
Yeah.
So my perfect, day, whatever, would be to get up. It would be summer, just for added context, and it would be to get up at 4 a.m. This would be around 45 minutes to an hour before sunrise. And nice. I would take a coffee and I would walk into the financial district. Just walking around, earphones in my ears, camera in my hand, and no destination. I would literally have no destination. I would just walk around, shoot some video, shoot some photos, do whatever I want, and then go walk for a couple of hours, by which time the sun will have come up. And then I would probably, I don't know, go to a coffee shop and edit those photos.
Nice. I like that you're getting the edit done as well, then and there,
I love editing. I love editing photos. It's not like, not more than taking the pictures, but like equally as much. I love the whole process, because all of it is integral. So yeah, I love that part. And I love coffee shops. Yes. Coffee shops are just really nice environments, when there's not a pandemic. They're really nice environments to just kind of be in and sit and just have life pass you by as you take stock and slow down. So like, I really like that. In the afternoon, I would probably like to go on a hike. Toronto has some amazing trails. So I would probably just go on a hike, no phone, still probably would take a camera. And then,
And
I don't know.
edit on the trail itself?
No. I would leave that. I've already done my quota of editing for the day, so I'd leave that for another day. But yeah, just being outside, taking the dogs for a long walk.
Hmm.
That's always very cathartic,
Hmm.
especially when it's like in a trail.
Hmm.
That's about it. And when I say like going out and like going hiking and taking the dogs for a long walk, that like Laura would be there,
Mm-hmm.
just so I don't lose good husband points for that.
Yeah, you should.
She would definitely be there. The last part would
Awesome.
be
Hmm.
I would go to the movie theater, VIP Cineplex movie theater,
Nice.
poutine, beer, nice recliner chair, watch a movie. Fun fact: Laura and my first wedding anniversary, we went to the movie theater and we fell asleep.
What movie was this?
This was Jason Bourne, 2016, August 12th, 2016. We had been working very long hours on that day, and we went to the Cineplex in like downtown, the one on I think it was the one in Young Dundas. And yeah, we were really tired. We got our poutine, we got our beer, sat in a nice recliner chair, and literally, honestly, just sparked out for the whole movie. And just fast asleep.
And you don't remember anything from the movie? Like you literally fell asleep as soon as you entered?
I woke up about half hour towards the end of the movie.
Oh my God. You know what?
Laura, I had to wake Laura up.
That's because you went to VIP.
So comfy. Yeah, they're so comfy.
I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you.
Even if we hadn't worked long hours, I don't know whether I would have stayed awake because it's just too easy to fall asleep. Just nice, big. They're just too comfortable. If there'd be those massage chairs as well, I would have been in trouble. I would have never woken up.
Yeah, and then I still think that's a good way to close an anniversary day as well. You know, fall asleep together while watching a movie.
No, that was like we were both working until like 7 p.m. That was literally all we did for our anniversary. But like that was it. We went to the movies. 2 and a bit hours. Most of it we were asleep. Well, we don't get me wrong. We ate our food and drank our beers because I'm not going to waste that. But yeah, then we both fell asleep. But the funny thing about it is, like, some may see that as a disaster, like anniversary outing. Laura and I love it. We love the fact that that's our first wedding anniversary.
I don't think it's a disaster at all.
It's one of those stories, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
One of those funny things that you can tell kids and grandkids.
Yeah, it's if everything is a smooth sailing, it's not like it's boring, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. I love this. I really have the day you described. This is like a literal chill day, man. Like I would kind of do most of these things that you described in your perfect day, and I love it.
I really just want to get up at 4 a.m. and take pictures.
It's funny you mentioned 4 a.m. I was going to publish this next week anyway. Shreya and I have started a wake up at 4:30 a.m. challenge now. This is our, I think, 4th day. And the first 3 days were okay. But today I woke up around 9. But I've always wanted to be a morning. Yeah, so not so much a 4:30 a.m. challenge. Exactly, yeah. But like this is one thing that I have always wanted to sort of be a morning person, but I never really got around to doing it. But I feel like you're so much productive. The first 2 days that we did it, we were so much more productive in the wee hours of the morning. So say around between 4:30 and 6, it was just it's so silent, it's so peaceful, it's perfect.
Yeah, it completely depends on how you do it. And it also completely depends on the evening before as well. If like, say for instance, like Laura and I are terrible for watching TV in bed. Same. That can be like a huge hindrance on the quality of sleep that you get during that evening. I've like literally last night was the first night in a long time that we haven't watched TV in bed, and we spoke about it yesterday, and we just said, right, we're not watching TV in bed anymore. We're just going to read, or we're just going to go straight to sleep. Because I want to get back to that point. It used to be the case for a long time. I was up and awake every single day before 6 a.m. my body just naturally woke me up. 5:55 a.m. every single morning without fail.
Oh, nice.
I don't know how that happened, but yeah, this kind of went on for like a solid year, and I'd really love to get to that point because I'm much happier. But I also know in order to do that, you have to really take care of yourself, and you have to minimize screen time after a certain period. I mean, it's difficult because I spend almost every waking hour in front of a screen, so it's kind of a bit difficult. But you have to take a break. And like I totally agree with you. It's I'm a morning person. I'm much more productive first thing in the morning, and that's where I get my creative ideas.
Yeah, exactly. I have already, like, 2 days I did it perfectly, and I can already sense that. And like you're right. You've got to leave your screens out and just read maybe when you're in bed. All right, man. We can keep going on. We have so much to talk about. But I'm gonna let you go. Before we go, do you have like a message for your loved ones, your family, anything that you want to say to them?
No, I'm kidding.
Excellent. This is the best. This is going to be the best
there.
episode.
I'm not really. Yeah, I said that I'm like a lot more. I'm learning to be more emotional. I'm getting there, but I'm not there yet, mate. So it's difficult for me to kind of be that open, showing my loved ones that I love them. What you want about? No, I'm kidding. I love you all,
no, you're not,
including you and Shreya. Yeah, no, I am kidding.
I love this. Okay.
I basically just undid all of that positive talk that we were going through and just kind of ruined it all.
No, this is awesome, man. I've really enjoyed this. It's still kind of new for me. This is my second, third episode, and I want to continue doing this. Hopefully, have meaningful conversations along the way, and I hope you had a good time.
I did. When am I coming on next?
We need to do another one.
I'm going to put pressure on you.
No, we need to do another one.
I'd love to do another one. I really would.
I feel like we've almost only scratched the surface right now. There's still a lot more to talk about. So we should definitely set something up for maybe the next month or later on this month. We should do it again for sure.
Definitely. We should pick topics.
Yes.
We should kind of specify it on a topic and then just tear it apart.
Yeah.
I'm into it though. That. I like the idea. I did really enjoy myself as well. Thank you for making it easy and not like.
Of course, man. Yeah, man. Thanks for agreeing to be a part of this. But yeah, we'll definitely plan something again. We'll catch up again soon. And this was absolutely amazing. A lot of fun.
Cool beans. Thanks for the invitation. I look forward to the next one.
Oh, absolutely. Take care.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.